back. Welcome back. It's a Money Monday on Liquid Lunch, and on Money Monday we're bringing Matty Mary, and that's about all the M's I can get in one sentence, but it's MMMM. And one of the top criminal defense lawyers around, Matthew Mary, joins us here. He's a commentator right here in New York on WVOX. But Matty, there's so much going on around impeachment, and they try to impeach him on collusion, then they try to impeach Kavanaugh. It's impeach everything. We bring on the pundits, and we get opinion from the Democrats or Republicans. But on the legal side of things, you're one of our legal consiglieres for the show. Is there any chance this thing could even happen?
John, impeachment is a very serious matter. The founders of our Constitution and the people who've used impeachment through the history of this country have not done that lightly. Now, of course, I didn't like the Clinton impeachment. I didn't like the fact that they drove President Nixon out of office. It wasn't necessary to use the impeachment process. The impeachment of Andrew Johnson, the vice president for President Lincoln, was such a national disgrace that nobody used it for decades and decades and decades. And yet, from day one, from Inauguration Day, the enemies of Donald Trump, who simply could not accept the results of the 2016 election, have been talking about impeachment. And when you look at Fox News, when you look at Newsmax, you could see tapes of this. It's incredible. It's incredible what's happening, but more incredible is the way that ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN are reporting this or not reporting this.
Let me ask you, Matt, about the story that broke right before we went on air this morning, which is that the appeals court, the federal appeals court, ruled that President Trump did have to hand over his tax returns to the Manhattan District Attorney, Cy Vance. You've had a lot of experience in appeals court. Now, the president's attorneys say this is going to go all the way up. They're asking the Supreme Court to overturn the appeals court. How do you think this plays out? Is the president going to have to give up his tax returns?
As a lawyer, I am embarrassed that we're even talking about something so trivial as this. I mean, the Court of Appeals is saying, well, you've got to give your tax returns. The Supreme Court may say no. What the heck is this really all about? From day one of the Trump campaign, they want him to open up his tax returns. He don't want to do it. Obviously, there's something there he don't want us to know. But what's the importance of all this? If you remember, that was one of the first things that people were talking about when the word impeachment first came up. And it used to be every single day there's another issue that they thought was an impeachable offense. They made a mockery of the court system, a mockery of Congress. And the media is so disgusting that I even hate to turn my TV on.
You do?
Yes.
Well, can I ask?
But I do,
and
for one reason.
Would you consider just leaving your TV 24 hours a day on Newsmax TV? Because
yes.
I mean, we're always talking straight.
Let me tell you that I've been watching Newsmax TV now at every possible moment. I do like watching Fox at night. I like Tucker Carlson. I like Sean Hannity. I like Ingram. But in the daytime...
We're trying not to promote our competitors on Liquid Lunch. For the most part, I mean, we can.
Listen,
Tucker's great, though. Come on.
I've got my television in my office and at home tuned into Newsmax all day long.
So I want to ask you this, Matty. I know we come from the same place. You may not know it, but Matty's not just one of the best criminal defense lawyers around. He's from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I was born in Knickerbocker Village, which is a public housing facility in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And Matty comes from the same place. He's friends with my father, so I know him for quite some time. This congressman from Staten Island, Max Rose, he said he wasn't going to go for impeachment. He wrote an op-ed in the Staten Island Advance, our local paper, saying that it would divide Italian-American fundraiser where people went to raise money for him, Italian-Americans. And he made a joke. Have you ever seen so many guys kissing each other? Do people get a free pass when they make fun of Italians?
Let's put it this way. As Italian Americans, three of us know that we're the only nationality that can be abused, and no one cares, no one says a word. But there are more important things about Max Rose that make my blood boil. Here's a guy that I tried to give him a chance. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Dan Donovan. And by the way, John, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I used to be a Democrat.
You're in the Reform Party with Frankie and I.
That's right. I'm still registered with the Reform Party. And anyhow, I do vote Republican a lot. But, I didn't vote for Max Rose, but I was trying in my heart to give him a chance. And I tweeted out to him, don't vote for this phony impeachment nonsense. And if you do, you're eliminating any chance of representing his particular congressional district. And he's going to get whooped just because of this.
I tend to agree. I do want to ask you, Maddie, about some news that we learned about during the show. The House Intelligence Committee, which heretofore has conducted all of these impeachment proceedings behind closed doors, they've decided that they're going to release some of the transcripts. So they, just as we were on air, they released the transcript of their interview with ousted Ambassador Yovanovitch. And she says, she told House investigators that she was told to tweet praise of President Trump in order to save her job. Now, while it might not be impeachable, it doesn't look great for the president, does it?
Well, there are a lot of things that don't look great for the president, but it takes a lot more to overturn a national presidential election than somebody being what we Italians call a gavone. President Trump says a lot of silly things sometimes. Sometimes he's a little bit out of order. That's not an impeachable offense. There's no crimes that have been committed all throughout every single day since Inauguration Day. They've come up with something, and it all boils down to nothing, and nothing plus nothing equals nothing.
Legally,
nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Legally, is the president and his team, are they making the right decision by not cooperating with this impeachment probe?
At this point, they have to treat this like a criminal defense situation. They've got to play hardball. That's the mistake that President Clinton made. He forgot that he was in the position of a criminal defendant, and he decided that politics was more important, and so he got suckered in to testifying in the Paula Jones civil case, and they had, from that point on, a legal basis to impeach him. If President Trump could just keep quiet and run the government, this is all going to turn out the right way. But I'm fearful that he may talk a little bit too much.
I always say we bring on the guests who know where the rubber meets the road, where the bodies are buried. In another episode, we'll talk about, Maddie knows where there are plenty of bodies are buried, but he's one of the best attorneys around. He's one of the most fairest and patriotic guys you're ever going to meet. And he was friends with my dad, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again, John. And Frank, you're looking so great since you got married.
Thank you.
Yes. And he's looking great since he got the new haircut, too. And now the new nickname he's rolling around here at Newsmax is Frankie Fades, because he's got that tight fade.
That's right.
I wish I could do that, but I can't. We're going to do plenty more for you right after this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more of the news of the day, the best and most fun stuff around. Pavlina Oster, our favorite millennial, is going to be here. Talk about if God had a podcast, and all that and more right here on Liquid Lunch right after this.